Hi, welcome to a new episode of Sugarfolk Homemade, my podcast where I talk about all the things that I have been crafting. This time it is mainly knitting as usual, but a tiny bit of crochet. It's been a minute though, so I feel like I have a lot to share and not a lot of time. My husband is showering and cutting his hair, so I thought, well, maybe I've got a little bit of time to sneak in a podcast. And the kids just went to bed, and I've made myself a nice hot cup of tea. So I hope you have something to sip on, and we'll jump right in. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Michaela, and I live in a small town in North Carolina with my husband and our 4 kids. And if you are returning, welcome back. Thanks for sticking around, even though it takes me forever to film, it seems. I try to get on a schedule, but you know, life. And every time that I say life has been so crazy and busy, it just smacks me in the face and it gets even busier. So I think I need to stop saying that. But in all honesty, that is how it's been for the past 2 months, or since I podcasted last. The last I spoke to you guys, we were fixing to go on vacation, and we did. And it was wonderful. I posted a vlog about that. If you haven't seen that yet, it was my last video that I posted. We had a great time. It was just a really nice week to unwind and just relax. Really, really thankful that we were able to do that. And as soon as we got back, my youngest started daycare, which has been very good. Oh, here comes the cat. Which has been good, because she's a toddler, and she is a very rambunctious toddler, and I was really having a hard time. Whoa, you're gonna make me spill my tea. I was really having a hard time schooling the older 2 with her underfoot, and she also has a few developmental delays that we really needed to get some early intervention on. So we thought, putting her in a daycare that's like more, the daycare that she's in, I used to work there, and it's great. And they help with those kind of delays and things like that too. And I just thought it would be better for her than, being here and I'm trying to school the older 2 and chasing after her. She's having a lot of fun there, and it's just better overall. And she has started therapies now for different things, and it has been an adjustment for me, at least. I used to only leave the house maybe once a week. I'm a homebody, and I don't know, I don't plan to do things out of the house. And since she started daycare, obviously we're running back and forth from there every day, and then also therapies, and then whatever visits she may have. She's a foster child, so she has visits with her family every week. So we're just kind of like running everywhere, and that's been a big adjustment for me, just to like wrap my being around now being this person that is like on the go all the time. Like a soccer mom is what it makes me think of. I only have 1 kid in extracurriculars, and that's my daughter Rosie. She does ballet, and that's once a week. And even that would have been an adjustment for me, because like I said, we're not used to doing like the extra things. And now the kids are all getting older, and it's crazy. But we're doing well. There have been some other personal things going on that I won't share here, but have kind of kept us busy. And I feel like I haven't been knitting that much, although I really want to. But sometimes, like, I have the time, I may have a little bit of free time, but I'm just mentally not I'm mentally not clear, if that makes any sense. Like, I don't have the mental capacity to sit and think about knitting. But I feel like things are slowing down, or maybe I'm just slowly getting used to this new rhythm, and yeah, I do have quite a bit to show, even though I feel like I've not been knitting much. And we better just get on with it because I feel like I'm rambling. It just has been so long since I've talked to you guys, and I feel like there's so much to update you on. And I know this is a knitting podcast, but at the same time, I feel like we're all friends, and I don't owe you an explanation of where I've been for the past 2 months, but like I want to let you know. Yeah, anyways. Also, the lighting is not fantastic because it's dark outside. I'm literally in sweats right now, so it's not my finest moment, but we're gonna just, we're gonna make it happen. So, I have 4 finished objects to show, and I don't even know how many whips and new things. I'm not gonna count them right now. And then I also have some acquisitions, and I'm gonna probably fly through these because, like I said, my husband is taking a shower and cutting his hair, and then he's gonna be out here, and it's so awkward to film and he's watching me, so yeah, anyways, I'm gonna see if I can take a sip of this. It was scalding hot. It smells so good. This is a Kava Stress Relief Tea by Yogi. It is so good. Whether it helps relieve stress, I don't know, but it tastes really good. It's kind of spicy. That's the kind of teas I like. I'm not a big like fruity sweet kind of tea. I like the spicier teas with like a splash of sweet cream to kind of balance it out. Delicious. Okay. The first thing I will show you is the one and only crochet thing that I have to show today. And if you have been here for a while, you may remember this. It's been, I don't even know how long, but a while back, before I used to knit, I crocheted. And I got on this kick where I wanted to make everyone in my family a nice blanket. I got to my sister and I was like, okay, pick out a blanket, go on Pinterest, find a crochet blanket. And she picked out this like extravagant, big, giant, crazy blanket. I think it was called Sophie Loves Winter or something. Anyways. Could I have made it? Yes. But then I found knitting, and I like knitting a lot more than crocheting. But I had already made a bunch of these squares, and they've just been sitting in a basket back here behind my sewing table. And I said, you know what? I'm never gonna finish that blanket. I know it. Let's do something with these squares. So I grafted them together to make a pillow. I still have a few more. I think I have like 4 or 5 more, and I figured I could maybe front and back them together to make like little hot pads or something, because the majority of this yarn is cotton. The exception is that the white is acrylic, but I think I could make it work. Anyways, so you can see they're not all the same. This one's my favorite. And then on the back side, some of them could have stood to be blocked, but that's okay. Hey, at least it's being put to use now. So this is just an old pillow that I had in our basement. I think it, oh yeah, it's one that just came with like an old bedspread, and it was the perfect size to fit 12 squares around. So that's what we did. And I don't know if there's a specific stitch that I used. I just wove them together. And yeah, I think it turned out really cute. And I put this on our bed. Our room downstairs is like green and purple kind of theme. So the purple ties in. It's a little bit in your face, but that's okay because I kind of like that. I kind of like loud, like just fun things, you know? Okay, so that's the only crochet thing I have to show. It would have been a really, really cool blanket. And maybe one day I'll get back into it, but right now I'm just so stuck on knitting and knitting garment. I want to have enough socks for just a whole box of socks. I just have so many knitting dreams that I want to accomplish first, and then I might go back to crocheting. And I should probably ask my sister if she wants the pillow, because I did make those for her. So next time I see her, I may ask her, you want this pillow? I don't know if she really would or not. It definitely wouldn't fit in her house. Her house is kind of like log cabin theme, but like almost like Western themed, I think. I don't know. I'll ask her. Okay, the next finished object I have are my pumpkins and spice socks by This Handmade Life. And they have already been worn many, many times. I have been wearing these pretty much anytime I need taller socks, or anytime I'm wearing my boots. This is what I pull out. And it's just the perfect fall sock. I love that there's this texture on the back, on the top of the leg, but then you still have the cables going down. And this is a West Yorkshire Spinners Signature 4-ply in the color Nutmeg. And I talked about this before, I think, but it's a 64 stitch pattern, so I did 64 stitches until I start my decreases, and then when I decrease down to 60, which means the pattern on the top of the foot is 32 stitches, so I end up having 28 on the foot. So the pattern does wrap around my foot a little bit farther than it should, but it works out just fine. And I find that that's the best fit for me, because I like the 64 stitch on my leg and through the heel to get to have enough room for my instep, but then I like for it to be a little bit snugger on my foot. So that's what I've been doing. And I knit these on 2.5mm needles, and yeah, they're perfect and I love them. And I also really like this Regia, or I keep calling this Regia yarn, this West Yorkshire Spinners yarn. It seems to hold up really nicely. The next thing I have finished was a big surprise to me, because I did not think that I was going to be finishing this anytime this year. I had it in my head that I was going to finish it like next spring, but it just worked out. And it is my Alpine Bloom. If you follow me on Instagram, you've seen it already about 1,000,000 times, I feel like, but she is finished and she's creased to pieces. Oh my gosh. It's been folded in my drawer, so yeah, I finished this. I had picked up the body. I was knitting on the body, and I thought that it was going to take forever because I was knitting on 4mm needles, fingering weight yarn. But then I got to about maybe here, and I tried it on to see how much longer I needed, and I was almost done, and I thought, oh my gosh, I could be done with this. And I had originally wanted to do long sleeves, but once I was that close to being done, I was like, I could do the sleeves in a day and be done. And I did. And I'm really glad that I chose to do the short sleeves. I did do them longer than the pattern. So the pattern has you, I don't know, maybe 10 rows or so before you do this lace cuff. And I did, I think, about 25 rows. And then the lace cuff, sorry, the cat's moving the tripod. The lace cuff in the pattern is actually double this length. So I just cut that in half, basically. And I really, really like the way that it turned out. It's the perfect sleeve length, because I didn't necessarily want it like a super short sleeve. And I wasn't a huge fan of the really long lace, but I really, really do like this. I almost did just a ribbing on the sleeve, but I knew I wanted somewhere to tie back into the collar. So I decided just to do a little bit, and it came out perfect. And it was a little tight before I blocked it, but once I blocked it, it fits like a dream. It really does. I was a little nervous about how it was going to fit, but it's perfect. And the colors that I used for this are the gray. Well, it's not really gray. It's more of like a washed out beige. This is Cascade Heritage in the color Limestone. And then this is a Zauber ball in the color Privy Council. I love it so much. And she actually, this is the Alpine Bloom by Caitlin Hunter, Boyland Knitworks, and she just came out with a fall version, which is a thicker weight and it's a long sleeve, and it has the cutest like hem on the bottom, and it's so cute, and I can totally see myself making that one maybe next fall. I seem to make things in the wrong seasons. This is what happens. I start them in the right season, and then they usually don't get finished until later, and that's fine. So yeah, that's my Alpine Bloom. I will say I went up a needle size for the color work. So the body is knit on a 4, but I went up to a 5 in my color work, and I'm really glad I did because everything came out perfectly smooth. There's no tension issues, which I was, again, very nervous about because I've not done a lot of color work in my knitting journey so far, but it all worked out. The lighting of this video is really, I'm not digging it, but it's dark. I have no natural light, so yeah, I feel like I look like I need a nap. The next finished object, actually I need a sip of tea. Okay, this next one I am particularly proud of, and this is my Levitate wrap by My Favorite Things Knitwear. Let's see if I can hold it up properly. It's kind of hard because it's a wrap cardigan. The color's coming out kind of nice though. You can see where it has the slight marl to it. So this project took a lot of determination on my part because when you get done, all of the edging is double knitting, including the bow. And first of all, I had to learn double knitting, and then once I learned it, I had to do it. I had to do a lot of it, and double knitting is very tedious. I quite enjoy the process and I love the finished look, but it took me so long. I worked on this pretty much consistently, or monogamously, while we were at the beach, and I really thought I was going to finish it while we were there. Even 2 8-hour car rides there and back, and the time we were there, I did not finish this thing. It took me more time when I got back home, and I don't know, it was a lot of double knitting. So I don't think I'll be doing any double knitting for a while, but I'm glad that I did it for this, and I'll put a picture over here of what this looks like on, because it's really hard to see like holding it up because the wrap wants to kind of fall. I have a stitch marker holding the pieces together at the bottom, but you can see the color pretty good now. And this was knit in Drops Charisma in the color Chocolate, I believe, and a Drops Mohair. I don't even remember what it was, but it was a Drops something, kind of mohair situation. Also called Chocolate, but they did not match very well at all. But that's okay because it turned out to do this slight marling, and I really like it. And I did knit the smallest size in the pattern for, I did use recommended needles, but I did the smallest size, but the outcome is probably more like the second size because my gauge was a bit looser. And so that's why I knit the smallest size, because I liked the density of the fabric and I didn't necessarily want to go down a needle size. From what I can tell, it seems like My Favorite Things may have a tighter tension because I'm knitting another one of her patterns right now, and I had the same gauge issue, but I don't feel like I'm that loose of a knitter. I have loosened up over time, but I couldn't imagine going down a needle size. It would have felt, maybe my yarn wasn't the exact weight of what it should have been. But either way, I mean, it came out wonderful. I love it. I've only got to wear it a handful of times because even though it's almost the end of November, we're still having like 67, 68 degree days. And I don't know what's going on, but I'm ready for the cold because I have lots of sweaters just waiting for me to wear them. And right now I'll put a sweater on in the morning and then by noon I'm dying. So I'm ready for like all day to be sweater weather so I can actually wear all of my knits. And I'm sure once it's actually freezing, I'm gonna be ready for spring, but you know, there's a time for everything. Okay, now that's all my finished objects. So now I will show you the whips that you have already seen. This might be tricky though, because I don't remember what I showed last time. I know you guys have seen this, so I'll show this first. This is my Anthology throw by Helen Stewart of Curious Handmade. I have added a few stripes to it. I don't remember where I was the last time I showed you guys this, and I can't spread it out all the way. But there's the center. The yellow is the center right there. And I want to say I was like down here last time I showed you guys. So I've added a few stripes in there, and I did actually pick up 2 mini skeins at my local yarn store to add to this because I didn't have any more colors that kind of went along with it. So it's actually kind of, let me turn this light down a little bit. Oh, that's not down. Is that gonna help or is that gonna I'm sorry. It's just kind of, it's a little too bright. But this is like an apricot color, and then this minty green. I thought those would go nicely with this. I'm sorry about changing the light there. I hope that wasn't an issue. Very unprofessional today. But yeah, I am really excited to have this finished because I just want to put it on the couch and have it as like just a cozy throw. And according to the pattern, I'm almost 65% done. I'm just surprised I made it this far, honestly. I mean, this is a big undertaking. Knitting a blanket, especially on, what even is this? It's fingering weight yarn, US 6 needle. So that's not too bad. But every row right now is 576 stitches, so each row takes me about 30 minutes. I try to do a row a day. Some days it doesn't happen. But yeah, when it is all said and done, this thing is going to be massive and it's going to be so cozy and so beautiful. And I'm just excited to have that. It's also fun to work on though because it's already big enough to lay in my lap and kind of be a blanket, so it's just cozy to work on too. Now the next whip that you guys have already seen is my Ballyclare shawl. And this is a shawl that I really wanted to have done by Thanksgiving because it is fall colors, and I wanted to wear it on Thanksgiving, and I also don't really want to be working on fall things going into December, and I think we might meet that goal. This is what it looks like. Ballyclare by Brenda Brayfield. And I only have, I think I have 3 sections left. So the last time I showed you guys this project, could have stood to put it on bigger needles. Okay, this is what we've got. And the last time I showed you guys was where that stitch marker or progress keeper is. So I have knit from there up to here. I just finished this little lace section today. And then I have another garter section, and then another stripe section, and then another garter section, and then it'll be done. And I think I might can do it. I have 4 days until Thanksgiving. 3, I guess, really. But it's all stockinette and like garter stitch, so I think I might can do it. I think so. We'll see. If I don't, it's okay. I do quite like these colors, so. A nice fall shawl. And these colors are Malabrigo in the color, what is it, caramel? Caramel. And Leap of Faith yarns. She is a hand dyer. This is in Pumpkin Power, I believe. Yes, Pumpkin Power. So that's going well. I'm knitting it on recommended needles. I am enjoying the pattern. It's very easy, very mindless. I do have to pay attention, you know, to what row I'm on. But I find that knitting fingering weight yarn on a needle such as a 5 or a 6, like my Anthology throw, this is a 5, I don't know, it just seems to go quicker for me. Like I knit a bit more, a bit quicker. I think because the stitches are looser, so they're just easier to go into, if that makes sense. And that is my shawl. Like I said, I'm kind of flying through these because I don't have a lot of time. And I have a lot more to share. Okay, the next whip that you have seen, actually I don't know that you have seen this. I think I started this in the car on the way. Excuse me, it's almost bedtime. I think I started this in the car on the way to the beach. And oh, it was a rough cast on. It was like, it's bottom up. Well, I haven't even told you what I'm talking about yet. This is the Roosty tank top. I call it a vest. The light is glaring. All over color work using Jameson and Smith, which I had never used before. And like I said, the cast on was like 260 stitches or something. And it was on a US 3, I believe. And I think I messed up the first time. I did something wrong. And I had to keep counting it, and it was very frustrating. But anyways, I know that I did show you guys the yarn that I bought for this because I had to swap out a few colors. I used mostly what she recommended, but I did have to substitute a couple that were out of stock for similar colors. And I talked about that in my last podcast episode if you're curious. So I'm making good progress on this, and I am obsessed with it. So this is what I've got so far. It's looking kind of big, and it's kind of making me nervous, but that's okay. I'm making the size 2 because that's what the sample was knit in, and the girl looked to be somewhat the same size as me. So I'm knitting the size 2. It's not going to be like a form-fitting vest or anything. And even if it's a little big, that's okay. But the way that this is knit up, and I talked about this last time, I was not aware of this when I purchased the pattern. It's bottom up, and the armholes You split for sleeves, or like you split for arms, but it's a steek. I've never done that before. And yeah, that we're gonna see how that goes. So far the pattern has been pretty easy to follow. I will say though, once you get up into the steek, like the steek chart, you're no longer reading your charts from one side. You kind of have to find where you are in the chart, because the rows don't line up perfectly, especially when you start decreasing for the top of the vest. You have to pay attention to where you are in your chart. But other than that, I would say it's a pretty well written pattern. It's only 2 pages, I think. And when I first saw that, I was like, ooh, that kind of sounds scary. Like 2 pages. Is there going to be enough information in there? But it is. It's been fine. So far, anyways. I am very nervous to do the steek. I would say I'm about halfway through the decreases, this section of decreases, and then there will be another section, and then the neckband. I really wanted to have this done by the end of October. That was a very ambitious goal, seeing as it is all over color work on a US 4 fingering weight. But we'll get it done eventually, and I will wear it all through the winter, even though it's more of a fall piece. I'm not one that cares about that, you know, except for like my fall shawl, the orange. That's probably more of a fall thing. But stuff like this, yeah, I originally started it with it being a fall piece in mind, but it doesn't matter. I'm gonna wear it through the winter. It would be so cute with a turtleneck under it. Oh, I'm so excited. I do really want to start dedicating more time to this project, because I really do want the finished product. And this is one that is a product in it for me, because I don't really enjoy knitting this Jamieson and Smith yarn. I mean, it's growing on me, but I'm not used to it. It's very rustic, and it is very toothy, so it's great for color work, but it's a little trickier to knit, because the little fibers, they want to hold on to the stitch before it, and sometimes I feel like I'm like having to separate them as I'm knitting them. But like I said, it's fantastic for color work, and I think it's going to really come in handy with that steek. The fact that these stitches really want to hold on to each other, that gives me a little bit more confidence that my steek is not going to go terribly wrong and unravel. And I'm sure that's probably why she chose this yarn. But yeah, I'm loving it so much. It does feel very nice, and I'm pretty proud of this one. I mean, I feel like my color work is looking pretty good. This is the kind of sweater vest that I feel like you would see someone wearing and you're like, nah, nobody made that. Like, that's too complicated. But then when you're a knitter, you learn that it's really not that complicated. And of course, some of them may be, you know, store-bought or whatever, but it makes me wonder how many of them really are handmade. I mean, we'll go to like little festivals in town. We have like little Main Street market festival kind of things, and I see it's usually older people, older gentlemen wearing like colorwork vests like this, and it makes me wonder if someone knit those. Maybe next time I'll ask. I have asked people before. There's been a time when I've seen someone wearing a Andrea Mowry shift cowl, and I said, "Oh my gosh, I love your scarf. Did you make it?" And she said, no, my mom did. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I recognize the pattern. And I could tell she like had no idea. I don't even think she knew what a pattern was. It was funny. But anyways, yeah, I'm excited about this project, and I can't wait to wear it. It's going to be so cozy, so warm. The next project I have is another new cast on. And it's another pair of fall socks, but this time I did a shorty pair, And this is the But First Coffee Socks by Deb Buckingham at Knit On Designs. Amber from Lovely Yarn knit these socks a couple months ago, I believe. And I really liked the texture on them, so I was inspired to knit the same. So I just finished the first one yesterday. I don't have it on a blocker. I should have done that, but so this is what I've got. Isn't that just such a fun texture on the top? And I did a little peep of the color on the heel or the cuff and then the toe. So this yarn is West Yorkshire Spinners, the same nutmeg as my pumpkin and spice socks. And then the main color is Homespun House Butter Pecan. Is that what it was? Just had the biggest. Yeah, okay, well I don't even have the tag anymore. I think that's what it was. I shared the yarn in my last episode. I think that was the name. And that was a gifted yarn. And I just think these are the coziest, like cutest little fall ankle socks. And I really like that texture. I think I might knit a pair of full length socks with the same texture over the top. Now the only thing about the texture is that it does seem to knit a little tighter, so you can kind of see the foot is kind of curling up because this is a bit tighter in row gauge than the bottom of the foot. But once you put it on, it stretches out and it's not a big deal at all. So yeah. And I did cast on 64 stitches again because I like the 64 for the instep, and then I decreased down to 60. And I'm knitting these also on my 2.5mm magic loop. My husband just finished cutting his hair and he is now in the shower, which means I only have a little bit of time left. So, but that's okay. I don't have much more to share. I feel like given how much I had to talk about and how unprepared I was, it's going pretty well. Okay, so speaking of socks, since we're talking about socks, I just remembered that I started this pair of socks last December, and I really want to finish these for Christmas this year. And this is the, well, hang on. What are these socks called? Easy Peasy Socks by Carolina Adamczyk, something like that. Very like Nordic looking to me, and they really have been easy peasy. I mean, I'm not that far into it, but you'll see. You may remember these. It's only been a year. So I had got this far. So I did a white with, it's not just straight black, but this is like a variegated black and gray. And I think that combined really sells it on that like Nordic, like winter look. Oh, they're so pretty. I do think December 1st I'm going to be putting this back on my needle and finishing these socks because I would love to have these for Christmas. I made a pair of Christmas socks last year, and I think it's kind of just nice to have a pair of Christmas themed socks. The last ones weren't themed for Christmas, but I feel like these could be. And I think that might be a flower. Maybe it's a snowflake, but I don't know. They look very wintry to me. So that is in the future plans. I was looking through my yarn cabinet to find a skein of yarn that I was having trouble finding, and I saw this and I said, oh yeah, I forgot about those. So I pulled that out, and now that it's fresh in my brain, I'll remember to pick them back up. Okay, I have one more whip to share. Oh, before I forget, the Rooy sweater pattern giveaway. I have not drawn the name yet because honestly I forgot. I kind of forgot all about that sweater. I have not picked it up much since we last spoke. I am planning to pick that back up soon, but I will go ahead and use the random comment generator to pick a winner, and I will put your name here. So if you won and you would like the copy of that pattern, the Rooy sweater, shoot me an email at, I can't even remember my email address. I think it's sugarfolkhomemade@gmail.com. I'll put it here as well. Can you tell my brain is just like in another world lately? But anyways, congratulations to whoever won. Maybe we can knit it together since I have really slowed down and taken a big pause on mine. But yeah, I wanted to get that while that was in my brain. I had to do that real quick because I would forget. And that's why I'm not showing that sweater today, because I have not worked on it much. And one thing that I have started is the sweater number 19 by My Favorite Things. This is what it looks like. It's a nice turtleneck, oversized, cozy, cables. Looks like cables, it's not really cables. And I started this maybe a week ago, and I've got my turtleneck part done. It looks small, but I think when it blocks, it's gonna be pretty large. So I did the gauge swatch with the recommended needles, and the gauge, I believe, I don't remember what it was, but I was like 2 stitches off. I had 2 little stitches, so my stitches were bigger. And like I said, with my Levitate wrap, my gauge was a bit bigger, looser. So what I decided to do, I went down a needle size and I did another gauge swatch, and I was still bigger. I still, even like with especially with blocking, I was not getting gauge. So I just said, you know what, I'll just went down a needle size. So I'm knitting this on a US 5, and I will knit the smallest size because I was gonna knit the second size. So I'm hoping that that works out. When I'm looking at it here now, though, it does look small, but it does have a lot of stretch, and I'm hopeful that when I block it, I can stretch it and it will stay that way, because that's plenty big enough. I mean, I've put it on my head and it fits on my head, so we'll see. I'm hoping that I don't put all this work in and it doesn't fit, because it is a lot of work. There's no stockinette, and I do have to knit. I typically knit continental, but with this, there's a lot of back and forth between knitting and purling, so I'm knitting English style, which is no biggie. That's how I learned to knit, but I'm not as quick. So yeah, I hope that that works out. I may measure my gauge again. We'll see. We'll see. So far I haven't had any huge mess ups with gauge. Well, that's a lie. I did, like on one of my very first sweaters, but that was a long time ago. And I think I've just in general become a little bit looser of a knitter, so I think it'll be okay. I kind of wish that knitting patterns would tell you what their gauge is looking like before they blocked it. You know, like to give you both so that you can really make sure. This is coming from someone who doesn't even fully swatch, so don't listen to me. When I say I swatched, I mean I knit like a 2-inch little section. I don't do the full thing. But you know what? It's just knitting. If it doesn't turn out, it's okay. We can just undo it and try again. I am really excited about that project though. I did not tell you the yarn, and I can't tell you the yarn because I don't have a ball band with me. But I do know that it is Drops. It is Drops something, and it's very soft, and I like it. And I like this color. It's a very light gray. It probably looks kind of white on camera, but it's a light gray. Okay, now, oh, I was going to share some acquisitions. Filming at the end of the day is not good for me. I can tell I'm just tired and I feel like I'm everywhere. But I know if I keep putting it off and I like say I'm gonna film tomorrow while the kids have quiet time, something's gonna happen and quiet time isn't gonna go as planned, or something's gonna come up and we're gonna have to leave. That's how it's been lately. So when I knew I was gonna have, 45 minutes to sit down, I said I better do this and I better do it quick. Okay, so the first thing I want to show you are 2 yarns that came from, I think I've mentioned to you guys before, a very, very kind and generous subscriber. For Christmas last year, she messaged me and asked if she could send me a yarn a month for the year of 2023. And when I tell you that it has been a blessing, I mean it. I mean, every month when it comes in the mail, I am so excited. And I see that little pink package. She has the same packaging every month. And it tickles me so much. So last month for October, she sent this one, which is Cinnamon Pumpkin Latte by Yarn Cafe. And I am really itching to cast this on. I was really hoping to finish those ankle socks mid-November so that I had 2 more weeks in November to knit this pair of fall socks. And while that might not happen, I think I'm still going to knit these after anyways, or at least get them cast on, because I am crazy about this color. Look how beautiful that is. Oh my gosh, that's beautiful. And I may use the mini with it, and I may not. Actually, I'm not sure. It kind of has Christmas, like if I was to take away the mini, I could kind of see a Christmas sock out of that. We'll see. And then this one just came in the mail yesterday for November. This is Valkyrie Fibers in Shortcut to Mushrooms. And very pretty color, very neutral. I mean, I say neutral, but like it's colorful, obviously, but neutral color. So it's a brown, a lot of taupe in there, and some orange down there at the bottom. Very, very pretty. I think this would make a nice one skein shawl. And the next thing I wanted to show you is a yarn that I ordered myself. I don't typically splurge on hand-dyed yarn, but when I saw that there was an Outlander series yarn, I saw it on Instagram and I about flipped. And looking at all the colorways, it was so difficult to decide. Every single colorway was so beautiful. And this was by Long Dog Yarn, but I settled on this. Settled is not the right word. Settling, that's not the right word. I purposely chose this one. It's called An Echo in the Bone, and it's a merino sock. You could choose what kind of base you wanted, and I chose a sock yarn just because I wasn't sure what I was going to do with it. And it is the most beautiful. It's like sage green. Oh my gosh, it's so pretty. And once this came in the mail, which by the way, it said it was a turnaround of 9 weeks. I got this bad boy not that long ago, and I feel like it was maybe 3 weeks since I ordered it. Definitely not 9 weeks. I mean, I got the tracking email that it had been shipped, and I was shocked. I thought this wasn't coming until after Christmas. But once it got here, I was putting it in my yarn cabinet because I have no idea what I'm going to make with this, but I want it to be something perfect, so I was just going to put it away until the perfect time. And then I saw that I had this, which I believe came from, I told you guys that a subscriber had sent me some yarn, and I believe this was in there. This is Meadow Rustic Luxury by the Fiber Company. Merino wool, baby llama, silk, and linen. And it's in this beautiful sagey mint green. And I just thought that they went really nice together. And I can kind of see, I don't even know, some shawl with these two. Maybe some brioche. I do like brioche. Or maybe even something that has a color panel that to show off the hand-dyed yarn. I don't know. But like I said, this will sit in my stash until I can find the perfect project for it, because this is a special yarn to me. And it's so beautiful. And that's all that I have to share. I feel like we did pretty good on time. It's 52 minutes. I feel like I just sat down. How has almost an hour already gone by? Thank you guys for bearing with me that it's taken so long for me to film, and even then, this is not the best production. Is that what I'm trying to say? The lighting's not great. I mean, I'm in sweatpants. But we're just friends catching up, and I'm glad that you chose to spend time with me this evening. Gosh, this cat and his hair is everywhere. Anyways, thanks for joining me. I hope. Gosh, Cooper, dude, you're killing me. Anyways, I hope it won't be so long until next time. And if you don't already, follow me on Instagram. I'll leave the link below, because although I don't post there every day, I do post there more frequently than I do here. So yeah, let me know what you guys are excited to be working on for the winter, because it will be here before we know it. And if you have any special Christmas knitting plans, and if you celebrate Thanksgiving, I hope you have a great Thanksgiving this week. And yeah, I'll see you next time.